All right, good morning, and welcome to our OECS webinar on safety committees. I'm Gary and this is Brent. We'll introduce ourselves a little bit more, a little bit later in the presentation as we go along. We just want to make sure that everybody is out there and ready for our webinar. We want to say thank you to our partners. That's the Tri-State Safety Association, the Associated Builders and Contractors, Minnesota Precision Manufacturing Association, Northern Region Association of Safety Professionals, the South Central Safety Association, Building Material and Lumber Dealer, and the Home Builders Association, and the Lakes Area Manufacturing Alliance. Thank you for being our partners. And understand that we at OECS, we're your total safety solution. If you have needs out there in your safety program, whether it's being part of a safety committee that you want to start up, or it's doing audits, or it is doing training, we can provide all of that stuff. If you're not part of the OECS family, make sure that you contact our Twin Cities corporate office or our Fargo office. The numbers are on the bottom of that slide so that you can become part of the family and integrate safety into your organization. Your involvement is important. If Brent and I just sit here and talk and we don't get any questions back from you, me and Brent can talk to each other all the time, but we want to make sure that you are involved as well. So go ahead, enter your questions into the chat. At the end of the presentation, we'll go through all the questions. If we don't have enough time to get to all of them in this webinar, we will respond to you. So please go ahead and enter your questions into the chat.
And make sure you put your contact info too, please. If we can't get to you by the end of the presentation, we definitely like to email you back or hear from you.
Absolutely. We can't share this presentation, but a video will be uploaded to our website within 24 hours. And learning outcomes for today. And after this webinar is complete, you'll be able to discuss why safety committee matters and the benefits of having a safety committee. Recognize if your state requires a safety committee, define how to establish that safety committee, determine who needs to participate and the balance of management and labor in that safety committee, understand the roles and responsibilities of that safety committee members, and create an effective safety committee agenda and set objectives and goals. Through IASET, we've been allowed to give continuing education credits, or accredited to do that. This webinar has been approved for 0.1 CEUs. It will be awarded to those people that complete the learning assessment and the course evaluation. Only those folks that complete that course evaluation and that learning assessment will get credit for it. If you have any questions on our continuing education credit information, please contact Jennifer Erickson at Jennifer at oecscomply.com if you have more information. So I'm Gary Leszewski. I've been with OECS for about 4 years. I come from the Army side of the house. I retired with 32 years of service, and I'm a regional safety lead covering general industry in the northern region here at OECS.
I'm Brent Larson from northern Minnesota. I've been with OECS now for 4 years. Again, if you got any safety needs in that northern Minnesota, Wisconsin area, feel free to reach out.
So here's our agenda. We'll talk about compliance and framework and membership. You know, what is the purpose of the safety committee? You know, what kind of vision? Do you have a mission? What's their function? And then we'll get into the activities of the meetings, and we'll even cover some of the pitfalls and solutions to correct those pitfalls of why an effective safety committee meeting isn't working for your organization.
First survey of the day. So you can get a better understanding of how current, or if you're having current engaged safety committee, let us know where you fit. Is it A, we currently have an active and engaged safety committee with regular scheduled meetings and have positive results and outcome from our committee? Is it B, we have a safety committee that meets and we can not a lot of follow through, could use some improvement? Or C? Mark's pulling up the results here. Give him a few more minutes to punch in your final answer. All right, the results. A, looks like we got a few 38% in the B and 21% in the A and 40 in the or A. So yeah, this hopefully B's and C's we can help you with this this meeting.
Yeah, we'll get you to have an understanding of what the safety committee can do and how the roles and responsibilities and make your organizations better. So here's what the safety committee can do for you. It's an active and engaged safety committee is one of the best tools for an employer to have to reduce workplace injuries. You know, we want to make sure that your workplace is safe and the safety committee members have a voice, or the workers have a voice to go to for the safety committee. There are more diverse communities, committees, and getting involved in all departments is beneficial.
The diverse group is huge.
So how do they help? Well, they have several functions. You know, they can do accident investigations. They can do those safety inspections. You know, they can have a role reporting safety problems and management. You know, all of those types of things.
So Gary, would it be a good idea for the safety committee to actually walk the floor and perform some of these audits through their meetings?
Absolutely. What's the best way for you to identify those hazard areas is to walk the floor.
Right, where would be a good time to talk about these findings, whether it be positive or negative?
At the committee. If we get everybody involved and bring those hazards to the committee, then we can get resolution for it. So it's important to understand that the safety committee is not just sitting around and you know, jaw jacking back and forth, that we are actually doing those functions of accident investigations and safety inspections. So here we start to get to compliance. Under the federal OSHA regulation, there is no requirement for employers to establish or maintain a written comprehensive plan or safety plan program. However, there are 14 state mandated programs where you have to have a safety committee, and Minnesota is one of them. There's a white paper that's written out there. It's OSHA Safety and Health Programs white paper that describes each one of those states and what the requirements is for each one of those individual states. And effective July 1st, 2023, here in Minnesota, every public or private employer of 25 or fewer employees is required to establish and administer a safety committee if they're subject to the Minnesota AWARE or the statute 182.653 subdivision 8.
So Gary, what are some of the consequences you've seen in Minnesota here for companies that don't have an established safety committee? Have you seen anything? Are they looking for it?
Yeah, based on the stuff that we've seen come out of our OSHA visits, OSHA offers in the state of Minnesota an ESA, an expedited informal settlement agreement. And in that ESA, it's a fee reduction of 30%.
Sure.
If I don't have an established safety committee, I may not get that ESA.
Sure.
And it might be classified as a serious violation, which could have negative impacts on those government jobs that I'm trying to get.
Sure. Yeah, important.
These are the 14 states that do require a safety committee meeting. Yes, I added Alabama. That's only if an employee requests it. And then California, they don't have to have one unless you're using it for your IIPP communication, which is an individual state program. But if you belong to one of these states, you need to make sure that you have an established safety committee.
Sure.
Here's some more Minnesota requirements that are out there. It says that safety committee must hold regularly scheduled meeting unless otherwise provided in a collective bargaining agreement.
How often do you recommend those meetings be held, Gary?
Well, a lot of that's going to depend on the size of your organization.
Sure.
You know, I would recommend that at least you're doing it quarterly at a minimum. That's what we found has been okay. If you're only doing one a year, the investigations that we've had into individual employers, they said, no, that's not regularly enough. So I would highly recommend at least quarterly at a minimum.
Sure, make sure they're scheduled, documented.
Absolutely.
Keep them on the calendar, keep them scheduled and stick to your schedule.
Right. You know, it also says that the safety committee members must be selected by the employees. And then like the last bullet point there's on the slide, it says it could be punishable under a serious violation, like we
Sure.
talked about
Talk about some more
before.
consequences, yeah, but
Right.
get a violation, that wouldn't be good.
Yeah, and so, I mean, you don't want to just have, the owners of the company or the presidents and all the leaders as the ones that make up your safety committee. And we'll go further into detail with that later on, but we can't just have, the owners make up that safety committee. We want to make sure that we're laying the groundwork and becoming familiar with the requirements for our own individual state. Here's, we want to develop and modify the existing safety and health policy on the specifics related to the safety committee. The reasons for establishing the safety committee, all of the rest of the things that go with that. We want to make sure that if you have multiple locations, that, you establish that safety committee is involved with all those multiple
Sure,
locations.
so if I got a company that's got locations in multiple spots throughout the state of Minnesota, maybe even into Wisconsin, is it okay if we zoom into these safety committee meetings?
Yeah, absolutely. You can Zoom. Zoom is a great way to allow us to have the ability to interact with each other.
Yeah,
You know,
those can even be recorded for a later date.
Absolutely.
Perfect,
And
yeah.
then we can look at them and validate that, hey, the information that was put out at those safety committee meetings, we can go back and see what it looks like.
Sure.
We need to make sure that we have a policy statement. It serves as a guide for us to follow. There should be a mission statement. It should define the roles and responsibilities and to what extent or authority do people have. If I see somebody out on the shop floor as a safety committee member, can I go up and just tell them, hey, put your safety glasses on? Well, the reality of it is I shouldn't just have to be a safety committee member to have that happen. We should be able to communicate as individuals to make sure that we want to take care of one another,
Right.
to do that. But absolutely, all that needs to be established in that policy.
Now, once you're on a committee, how long can you stay on the committee? Is there term limits? Should you rotate your safety committee out, or should you have the same safety committee for eternity?
Yeah, a lot of that's gonna depend on the size of your organization. Keep in mind, if you've got, 10 employees, and you have a safety committee with 3 or 4 of them on it, you may not have the opportunity to rotate those folks out as often as a company that would have 100 or 200 employees. So some of that's going to be determined by the size of your organization. But I would say that at a minimum, by the time you get somebody that's on your safety committee, you get them some training so that they're able to do things and interact with the committee. I would say, 1 to 2 years,
Sure.
you'd want to make sure that those people
That makes sense.
are on there. And if it's only 1 year and you're only doing it quarterly, that's only 4 meetings that
Right.
they've been a part of, right? So, I would say 1 to 2 years. Well, this is an example of what that policy looks like. They got a mission statement, the organization, what the roles and responsibilities are for the safety committee. But we need to make sure that we have something in writing so that we can go back to it and see, why is that safety committee there? What are their goals? What, are they working with management departments? Do we have a representation of our organization as a whole? So we want to make sure that we write that down in that policy statement. And then we should have bylaws, how we're going to conduct that daily business. What do those meetings look like? Are they established a year out? Who must attend those meetings? Do we have other people that are coming to them? But we should have a bylaws that explain our day-to-day activities, what our objectives and goals are.
Sure. Another important with these bylaws too is when you set up these meetings, make sure these meetings is set for safety as your number one topic and goal. Yeah, you can talk about some other, financial stuff or business stuff, but keep safety as your main focus. It'd be considered a safety committee meeting.
Yeah, absolutely. The more you can focus on safety, the better off you are. Not only that, but it limits the amount of time and the sidebar conversations and the rest of that stuff that happens.
Right. All right, looks like we got another survey coming at you. How many members in total should I have on my safety committee? Is it A 3 to 5, B 6 to 8, or C more than 8? I'll give you guys a few minutes to log in your answers. Few more minutes here. All right, the results are in. A, 3 to 5, we're at 40%, B, 6 to 8 at 53%, and C, more than A. Yeah, so essentially, yeah, there's no right answer on this. It all depends on the size of the company you work with. If you've got a company of 25 people now with this new rule, it might be tough to have a committee of eight or more people. So again, it all has to do with the size of the company that determines how many people you're gonna need on your committee, and we'll go over some of the numbers right now.
Yeah. So, who determines the size of your safety committee? Well, upper management does. And like Brent said, and we said before, it's based on the number of employees that you really have at your organization. The employee representatives shall equal to or exceed the number of management. In other words, what I don't want is to have all of the ownership and the executive branch
Yeah.
be the leaders and be on the safety committee and I only have one shop employee. I want to make it so that I've got 51% shop employees and no more than 49% upper management. That way people feel like they're going to get their resolution to their questions or to their issues.
Yeah, and kind of like we talked about earlier, try to get it a more diverse group, try to get somebody from each department, not management, not the supervisor, but a voice or an employee from that each group or each division, to get that super diverse safety committee.
Yeah, you want to make sure that you're taking volunteers or that the employees elect their representative so that that person is, well liked in that organization. They have the ability to walk up to them and bring their concerns to them. We want to make sure that all departments are covered at least as much as possible. And then, we want to make sure that we try to rotate if at all possible, that 1 to 2 years to allow them to succeed when they're on the safety committee, but allow it so that you can bring in those new ideas as well. And then, we need to make sure that we're communicating and notifying members. We want to appoint and notify the management representatives. There should be a chairperson. There should be a vice chair and a secretary. Do they have to be called those things? No, they don't have to be called those things. They can be called whatever you want. Safety committee leader, or whatever it is. But you should have at least 3 people that are identified as the inner workings of the safety committee.
Identify roles.
Yeah,
Right?
absolutely.
Identify those roles.
And then, like we said before, they should be volunteers or elected by the employees to be representative of their departments. And we should once we've established that safety committee, we should go out, take pictures of those folks, put them on the bulletin board. Make sure that everybody in the facility knows that Tom, Joe, Brent, and Gary are part of the safety committee so that we can make sure that we get those questions and those issues brought up as much as possible.
Yeah, like I said, just another layer of employees get involved. They know who to go to if they see your name posted on the bulletin board. If I got a question, if I got a concern, I can go to Gary. Now Gary can bring that to the safety committee and hopefully get a resolution.
Yeah, absolutely. And then, we want to make sure that we conduct training for them. If we just throw 6 to 8 people in a room and say, hey, you're a safety committee and don't give them any guidance or any direction, then what are we doing? We're just wasting time, right? We want to have a purposeful safety committee that's going to have direction, and we want to make sure that they have the correct training for
Gotta
that.
have that positive outcome.
Right, absolutely. So the safety committee chair, what's their role? Well, they facilitate the meeting. They prepare the agenda and make sure that they send the agenda out. They provide that follow-up and recommendations that was developed by the committee to make sure that it goes to the upper management or the executive side of the business, as well as back down to the lower employees.
Sure. So if my company currently has a safety director or safety manager, would this be a good role for that individual?
Absolutely, it would be a good role for them. That is the person that you want. They're the ones that have, years of safety training in some cases. In other cases, you have the HR director that we just appointed as the safety director, right? So we want to make sure that we provide some sort of training for them. That's a prime way that OECS can help you, right? In your safety committee is to allow you to get your employees trained on what a safety committee looks like. Sure. You should have that vice chair. That vice chair is gonna preside over those meetings when the chairman person is gone. They help with the agenda, making sure that it's developed and, directing safety committee activities. The one thing that you wanna caution yourself when you're establishing roles and responsibilities is there again, we all are kind of equal when we come to the safety committee. These are more like additional duties for individual people, right?
Yeah.
So just keep that in mind. And then you need to have a secretary, somebody to record those meetings. Like we said before, um, we want to make sure that everybody knows what's going on with the safety committee. If I'm on the shop floor and I bring a concern up and it goes to the safety committee and I never hear anything back, uh, the likelihood of me responding or doing it again probably isn't going to be very good.
Right, and that secretary role is just as important as any. If these meetings aren't getting documented, are these meetings happening? If you don't get to everything from that meeting, it has to be recorded and brought up at the next meeting. Again, this secretary is a huge role. Make sure those meetings are getting documented and all ideas are getting brought up.
Absolutely. And like we said before, you can record those meetings on Zoom
Yeah.
if you have multiple locations. It's a great way to use that as a tool for you to be able to look back and see what you talked about. And then everybody else that's a committee member, they're representative of their individual departments. They make sure that the matters that are pertaining to safety in that department is brought up at the safety committee. We listen to the lower employees that are bringing that stuff up. We try to get them a resolution to their issue, and make sure that we get back to them, because like I said, it's important to have that follow through.
No, again, the safety committee members, create that buzz, create a positive buzz. Again, you will have to be replaced eventually sometime down the road. You're gonna want somebody to be ready for that next position. See it as a positive thing. Again, be a positive influence. Those younger guys coming in, they're gonna see that, and that's gonna be their goal. Hopefully someday is be on that safety committee and make a positive difference.
Yeah, absolutely. Positivity is infectious a lot of times. If we can create a positive environment, things will get accomplished if we have that follow through and we're making sure that we're getting back to folks. And then again, everybody else is assisting with those safety audits and accident investigations, and they should really be the representative of the safety committee. So they should make sure that they're the ones that are wearing their safety glasses. They're setting the example, all of those things so that we have a positive outcome from our safety committee.
Lead by example is
yeah.
huge. All right, looks like we got another survey question. How often should I have a safety committee meeting? A, couple times a year, B, once per quarter, C, every other month, or D, monthly? Go ahead and lock in your answers. Give you a few minutes here. Give it another few seconds. All right, Mark, with the results, we got D monthly, 41%, every other month at 11%, B once per quarter at 48%. Again, kind of a trick question. It all is based on the size of your company, on how many meetings you think would fit your personality. But again, we recommend, Gary and I, with the handful of committees we've been part of, at the very minimum, make sure you're doing them quarterly. Again, if you've got a company at 200 plus, you might have to meet. If you have a lot of high incident rates, you might have to meet a little more. But again, try to get that done at least quarterly.
Yeah, absolutely. So the regulation here in Minnesota says that meetings should be conducted on a regular or periodic basis. You don't have to do it monthly, but understand that the more people you have, the more hazards you have and the more potential injuries that you have, then we should have more committee meetings so we can get those things resolved, especially if we have that high incident rate. There again, we want to make sure that we're determining that location and that time ahead of time. When are we having it? What we don't want to do is schedule it this morning for this afternoon. Want to make sure people have time to prepare for it, give them and afford them the opportunity to go out there and get suggestions from their individual departments and make sure that we have an agenda, right? So that we can exchange those ideas and suggestions and solutions, and we can talk about it. We want to make sure that agenda is out a couple days so we can solicit that stuff.
Yeah, and feel free to make adjustments. If you feel like you're going every month for 2 hours, that's way too much. We find ourselves wasting the last 45 minutes. We'll adjust that. I'll adjust that to every other month. Maybe break it down to just 1 hour every other month. But as long as you're still being beneficial and you're getting stuff done. But yeah, feel free to make those adjustments and address them.
Absolutely. This is a sample of what a meeting agenda would look like. We open up the meeting. We need to make sure that we record attendance. Who's there from the safety committee? Do we have somebody that's coming from the shop floor that's going to explain something to us, right? Maybe they have an issue. We couldn't translate it. You can invite that person to come to the safety committee meeting and bring that up. But you want to talk about old business, new business, maybe the incidents that you've had, the near misses, all of those things. And then you go through and you set a time and a date and an agenda for the next meeting, and then you adjourn the meeting. The agenda doesn't have to be a 19-page document written in 4 font, right? It can be very, very simple, but it's very important that you have an agenda and you keep the agenda with the minutes so that you can record that in the event that you do get an OSHA visit.
Yeah, another thing too, if you're having a hard time getting involvement through your committee members, so I've noticed in the past, I've seen companies start off with, they're sitting at the round table and everybody at that table comes up with a hot topic button subject. So if something they've seen on the floor, again, you should have people from each type of department. They should be able to bring something to the table, and it's not forcing involvement, but you're expecting involvement and they're bringing issues to the table. So I've seen that work in a lot of different situations.
Yeah, that's a great resource to use as hot topic, because if you get to that meeting and you don't have anything to say every single time, but everybody else has got something,
Yep.
it puts a little bit of pressure and onus on you to come up with something,
And
right?
adds value to a meeting, really.
Absolutely,
Adds
it
value,
does.
yeah.
Yeah, that's a great point. Here at OECS, we use the IDS solution, identify, discuss, and solve. The first thing that you want to do is you want to identify the issue, whether it's a work process or a procedure or an accident or a near miss, and then you discuss how to solve it. You try to get to that root cause of what it is and what are the potential solutions. At this point, when we're discussing it, nothing is off the table. Everything is open for us to go through and work through the issue, right? If somebody says, hey, we need a new building, well, that's a viable option, right? It may not be practical at
Right.
this point, but we should put it down so that it's part of that viable solution. And then we go through and we pick the ones that are most representative of how it's going to be solved, right? Maybe it's a money issue and we want to make sure that we're not spending $17,000 for that issue. So we're going to start out small
Right.
and work our way up to it, right? Depending on what the gravity of the situation is.
Yeah.
And then when we get done with IDS, there should be a to-do for almost everybody on that safety committee. Something that gives them something to go and follow through with and bring back so that we do get that involvement, right? And it might not just be me going and doing the research. It might be going out and talking to everybody in my department,
Yep.
being like, hey, how do we solve this conveyor belt that's always causing us a problem?
Hmm.
If I get involvement from those shop employees, it's positivity.
Yep.
Positivity is
Yeah,
infectious,
people like to be involved and like to see results.
right? And then, like we said, multiple times, we need to make sure that we're recording the minutes, maintaining the coverage, who was there, what did you talk about, what did you take for actions, make sure all the committee members get it. And then it should be posted for everybody to review on either the safety board or the bulletin board.
So yeah, another great place, places, commons, break rooms, places where people can meet up and talk about this stuff. But like we talked about earlier, people like to see results. People see what their information is going to, and they want to see the results. Let's say everybody was saying they want to see the positive change. So
Yeah.
yeah, you gotta share that information with all employees.
The more you can share it, the better off that you are, because like I said, people want to see results.
Yeah.
And then, when we're reviewing those incident investigations, there again, we need to focus on root cause, not on the who, but more of the what. If I come into your facility and I'm on a forklift and I run into a rack and I tip a rack over because it wasn't bolted to the floor, by taking Gary off the forklift, did we solve the issue?
No.
No, we really didn't.
You might
So,
have to ask yourself why 5 or 6 times to get to that root cause.
yeah. And like I said, don't focus on the who. It might be Gary's training or it might be Gary's experience level, right?
Might be improper rec store or rec spacing. You
Absolutely.
gotta ask yourself why. Why is that happening?
Yeah, definitely look for those root causes and focus on the what. And then make sure that there's a process to report incidents. You want to get those near misses. A lot of times we're in safety committee meetings or we're at organizations and, you know, you'll say, hey, I noticed that there's a new scratch on the forklift. They'll be like, where? And then, they'll point it out and they'll be like, oh, well, yeah, that's nothing. And then the lead from that department will go, oh, well, that was Bob last week. He ran into something, right?
Yep.
Make sure that we report that in a timely manner and there's something to allow us to report that stuff. Remember, if we focus on retribution for what they did, that's a bad thing.
Yep.
We want to make sure that they have the ability to bring things up and not have to worry about repercussions of
Yep.
bringing that
Coming
stuff
up with
up.
these solutions so they don't reoccur and so they don't happen again. And again, the safety committee is a great place to encompass those conversations.
Absolutely. And there again, we want to make sure we get back to folks. We have that follow through. When we're doing those inspections and audits, we should develop a schedule. And what does that look like? I suppose it depends a lot on your facility, right? If you've got a 1,000,000 square foot facility, you probably have a lot of area and a lot more folks that you need to get involved in that inspection than if you only had a 25,000 square foot
Right.
section
Pick a
or facility.
department each time your committee goes out, focus on that corner, focus on that section.
Yeah,
And then, yeah, you don't have to do everything all in one day.
right.
Take your time
And-
and identify those hazards.
Encourage that employee involvement. Get people from that individual workspace to
Yeah.
get involved. Tell me what you're doing. Tell me how it's working for you. Is there something that we can help you with? And then, use a checklist. You shouldn't just be out there just walking through and aimlessly looking for stuff.
Right.
Use that checklist to allow you to, find those areas and those things.
Yeah, so understand your comfort level. Here's an example of a safety checklist. Again, pretty low hanging fruit, but stuff anybody can grab this checklist. Look for those fire extinguishers. Make sure they're getting updated monthly. Make sure they're getting inspected. Your emergency exits, your emergency action plans, your lights. Again, all stuff that's again pretty basic. But does OSHA look at the low hanging fruit most of the time?
Absolutely, they
Sure.
do.
Sure.
Usually that's where it starts,
That's where it
right?
starts and spirals out. You cover the small stuff, have OECS come in, we can get the in-depth, those safety audits, but yeah, start off small and depending on your comfort level. But yeah, this checklist here is a great way to start.
And understand just that the OECS audits that we do, yeah, that's great. But if you can get your employees involved in that auditing process, one, you're training them more on safety and they know what to look for. And two, you shouldn't have to rely on just one audit or two audits from us.
Right.
If you're doing it more often, then you're catching a lot more things.
Yep.
And then we want to make sure that we can enhance that safety communication. We want to publish those minutes. Maybe we launch safety campaigns.
Yeah.
Maybe we have mental health awareness month, or maybe we have a campaign that we're going to focus on for a time period and get people involved in it. Maybe we have a reward. Maybe it's a t-shirt that we have
Yeah.
that says safety starts with me, or, whatever that is. If we can, put safety, whether it's a safety committee or any type of safety, up front and visual and have that visual representation, that really will allow our safety committee
Yeah.
to enhance and
Yeah,
to
like we
grow.
talk about, you creating that positive buzz. Get
Yeah.
everybody involved. The more involved you get, the more successful your safety committees will be. Again,
Ab-
even if they're not on the committee, they're gonna be voicing their opinions and helping you guys out and looking for ideas to better your organization.
Absolutely. And you want to make sure that your safety committee members, they're advocates for safety. They're the people that are setting the example.
Right.
They're the experts or the SMEs that are in that individual department as it relates to safety. And they're a liaison between the committee and the department.
Right.
So we want to make sure that they bring things to the committee. And then we get to pitfalls and solutions. Everybody has either been a part of or around a safety committee that hasn't been effective. And we need to make sure that we don't get into that rut and just kind of going down that gravel road and veer off that gravel road. We want to make sure that we're conducting those meetings when they're supposed to be conducted.
Yeah.
There's a lot of times that things come up and, are maybe a bigger priority. But we need to make sure that safety is a priority too, and that safety committee meeting, that's gotta be a number one.
Yeah, we all know what that first council meeting, it's really easy to, we'll get it the next one. We can do it the next month. But again, stay on track. And like we talked about at the beginning, keep safety as that main topic. A lot of people get off topic and talk about the numbers, talk about the this and the that. Keep safety as your number one priority in these safety meetings. And then again, don't get off track, don't cancel meetings and don't make excuses.
Yeah, a lot of times, especially when we're talking about things in meetings, you usually get two or three people, they'll kind of start their own little sidebar going on, talking about the widget or the wadget or whatever it is. And then it's disruptive to everybody else that's trying to talk. So focus on that topic that we're on. And then if you have something else to bring up,
Yep.
bring it up afterwards, and then we can all discuss it as a group.
Yep.
Right? The committee's unable to affect change. Well, we need to make sure that, just like from the bottom down, if I'm the person that's on the shop floor bringing something to the safety committee, I want to get results. If the safety committee brings something to the executive branch, they want to get results too. So be responsive to it. If you get a request or you get something at the leadership side of the house of the organization, make sure that you respond so that we get a timely response and we can do things.
I got a question for you. Is it a good idea to post the minutes for employees to see?
Yes, absolutely.
Yep.
They should be posted on your bulletin board, on your safety or your safety board, in the lunchroom, someplace where all of your employees can see and review it. We want to make sure that everybody has the ability to
Definitely.
see what's going on with the safety committee.
Yep.
And then lack of follow through, like we said before, you have to have the ability to tell somebody that, hey, we're working on it, or give them an update on it. We want to make sure that the to-dos that you were established through IDS, that you bring the to done back with you. This is what I did.
Yep, like we
Right.
talked about, people like to see that positive change, right? They want to see the change, they want to see the follow through, or they're gonna quit coming with ideas, but we're not seeing it follow through.
Yeah.
So again, make sure that follow through is
Is
moving
there.
forward, yeah.
Absolutely. A lot of times, safety committees have problems because they don't set that agenda. They don't have anything in writing of what they're going to talk about. We're not, well, I think what happens is, we all get busy doing our own things, and all of a sudden, oh, it's a safety committee meeting and I didn't go out and I didn't poll my department people to find out what's out there, right?
Right.
So have that agenda come out, a week in advance so that you have the opportunity to poll those department workers so that you can bring something to the safety committee.
Get into routine.
Yeah.
Routine.
And then, like we said before, those sidebar conversations are veering off topic. We need to make sure that we're focused on safety and safety committee type things that are going on when we're having those meetings. Otherwise, it turns into, hey, it's a productivity meeting, or it's a scrap rate reporting meeting, or whatever that is. Focus on safety
Yep.
for that half hour, 45 minutes, or that hour.
Yep.
And it's a good idea, whoever's facilitating the meeting needs to be the person that keeps that in check.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. That chairperson can make sure that we're staying focused. Or another great example is to assign somebody that's on the committee to say, hey, you know what? We're getting off topic. Let's put that in the parking lot. Let's come back and talk about safety.
Yep, exactly.
And then there again, training. We have to provide training to those committee members. We can't just expect them to establish the safety committee and say, hey, now we're a committee, let's go.
Yep.
We need to make sure that they know what they're doing and what they're responsible for.
Yeah, like your JHA, job hazard assessment, understand those hazard assessments and understand what to do with them.
Yeah.
So yeah, you gotta be trained on how to identify hazards.
And there
Place.
again, we at OECS, we can help you
Yeah.
through that, whether it's being a part of your safety committee, or sometimes there's a bunch of us that even chair a few safety committees.
Yep.
So we've come to the point in our slide presentation that we're going to talk about in summary. we want to make sure that we choose the right employees and make sure that everybody wants to be on the safety committee. They want to make sure that they affect change, have that positive vibe, and make sure that we're creating that environment for them. We want to make sure that we conduct those regular meetings with an established agenda. It should be in writing. It should come out at least a week in advance from our meeting. Our meetings should be scheduled throughout the year, well in advance.
Yep,
So if there is
schedule 'em.
conflicts, we can debunk the conflicts,
Get them on the calendar.
right? And then, make sure that we follow through. If you don't have any follow through, people have a tendency to veer away from bringing suggestions and items up. Them to-dos, make sure we get them to dones.
Yep. Yep, without follow through, the safety committee will fall apart.
Yeah, absolutely. It will implode from the inside out.
Yep.
And then make sure that communication with both employees and committee members and leadership, make sure that that's always a priority so that we can get questions or resolution to our solutions or to our issues and come up with a solution. If it takes us 4 months to get back to a individual member that brought it up on the shop floor or, the safety committee, that's not beneficial for anybody. And then never forget, the ultimate goal of the committee is to improve the safety and health in our work environment. And everybody should have the ability to go home the same way that they showed up to work, to do the things that they like to do when they're not at work and not have to worry about a serious workplace injury.
Right.
So we've come to the point of our webinar where, we want to make sure that we're providing you the best information and the best webinars that we can. Go out there and score our webinar. If you thought that, hey, it was very helpful, give us a 3. If you thought you got a few takeaways from it, but, could have been a little bit more, go ahead and give us a 2. If you thought, oh boy, Brent and Gary, they probably should never do this again, go ahead and give us a 1. But it's important that you truly and honestly evaluate us because we want to have your feedback and your information.
Sure.
So we're providing the best product for you.
If you enjoyed the webinar, tune in to Thursday, November 14th, 2024. Associates Danny Hoffman and Bob Williams. We talking about what to expect from the next OSHA inspection to get 2 great associates, very knowledgeable fellas. Again, tune in Thursday, November 14th, 11 a.m.
That is our contact information. Like we said before, I'm Gary Lashevsky. There's my email, gary@oecscomply.com. You can call me if you have any questions. Please reach out.
Yeah, Brent Larson, Brent@oecscomply.com. We got a question that northern Minnesota, northern Wisconsin area. Feel free to reach out at 612-240-7712.
Yeah, we can answer your questions and, get you through whatever you need to get through. There again, keep in mind, if you need CEUs, this is a way that you can get that CEU through IASET. Please contact Jennifer Erickson at Jennifer@oecscomply.com if you have questions or you need more information. And remember, OECS and the OECS family, we are your total safety solution. We can provide all kinds of things for you, from industrial hygiene to helping with your safety committee, audits, training, all of those things. Go ahead and give our Twin Cities corporate office a call or our Fargo office if you're interested in becoming part of the OECS family. If you're already part of that family, thank you. We greatly appreciate that.
Thank you again for our partners at Tri-State Safety Association, Associate Builders and Contractors, Minnesota Precision Manufacturing Association, Northern Regional Association of Safety Professionals, South Central Safety Association, Building Material and Lumber Dealer, Home Builders Association, and Lakes Area Manufacturing Alliance. Thank you again for your partnership.
And there we come to that point where we can receive your questions. Now Mark's gonna read the questions for us and get back to us, and then we'll respond to it.
Yeah, can you go back? Donna's asking about the slide that shows what states require safety committees.
Yeah, let me go back to that
The
slide.
white page.
Yeah, it's the white pages.
Yep. Should be at the beginning,
Yeah, it is.
first 13. Oh, keep going.
One more here.
There.
Those are the ones that came from the white paper.
And can you go back to the slide before this? And so just to clarify, if I have 50 employees, do I have to have a safety committee in Minnesota?
In the
Yes,
state of Minnesota,
If you-
effective July 1st, 2023. 25 or fewer, and, you know, again, they made the rule and it was 25 or more, and effective on July 1st. 25 and fewer now need to have that safety committee put in place.
Nabby's asking, hey, if we have an injury and we're discussing it at the safety committee, should we be omitting the name of the person? I'm
Yes.
Assuming HIPAA requirements.
yes, we should not be bringing up the individual if we're discussing it at the safety committee. Otherwise, each individual committee member would have to be HIPAA
HIPAA
certified.
certified, yep.
I believe this was already addressed. There was a question about, hey, how do you train new members to focus on safety items, not just random plan upgrades, other topics not really associated with safety?
Yeah, I think that, you know, like we said before, when it comes to the safety committee, it needs to be focused on safety for that half hour, 45 minutes or hour, whatever that time limit is. We talk about those types of things and make sure that we don't allow ourselves to get in that off topic, because it very easily could go from, you know, talking about getting new Band-Aids to, hey, we need to have window coverings on our windows because it's bright in my area or whatever that is.
Or even have them sit through an OSHA 10, that's pretty basic. It's an
Absolutely.
8-hour course and come in, and again, from there, they can use that or identify those hazards and then implement that in their workplace.
Yep.
Another question was, are there any specific beginner trainings that you recommend for safety committee members?
Well, I think that, you know, we at OECS can come in and help you and provide that training for you. But I think that the biggest thing that committee members don't have is that hazard identification.
Yes.
So like Brent said in the beginning, go back to those job hazard analysis. Look at what the hazards are for that individual area, you know, and start with that. How do you identify those hazards?
Right.
What is a hazard?
Yes, it could be as simple as those original checklists. We can come up with those checklists of what to look for, but yeah, just identify those hazards and then understand how to mitigate those hazards in the workplace.
Right.
The other question was, in Minnesota, can AWARE be considered our safety plan?
Yes.
And in the last question, someone just wanted to know, hey, how do we sign up for the next ocean spec or the next webinar? And we'll provide that information through our email distribution. If you didn't get it, just please contact us or your safety associate, and they'll make sure that you get the registration information.
Absolutely.
And that's all I have for questions.
Perfect.
All right. Well, I just want to say thanks for sitting with us for the past 50 some minutes. We greatly appreciate your attendance. And if you have questions or you need anything, make sure that you reach out.
Yeah, thanks for tuning in.
Have a great day.
Yeah.